Hello and welcome to this REAP tutorial. My name is Roxana Kazan and I serve as the Regional Disaster and Economic Recovery Coordinator with the Association of Central Oklahoma Governments. In this tutorial, I will walk you through a REAP grant application in order to ensure you are prepared to submit a competitive application. My supervisor's information is available on this slide. If you have additional questions at the end of this tutorial, or if you simply want to ensure your project qualifies for a REAP grant, please contact Matthew Weaver, Manager of Community and Economic Development at 405-234-2264 or by email at mweaver@acogok.org. Please also visit our website to learn more about the ways in which we can assist you with this or other grants. And let's get started. It is time to assess our needs. They may pertain to road-related projects or perhaps water and sewer projects. They may pertain to other kinds of construction or repair. REAP may be the way to fund your community projects in the new fiscal year. ACOG is officially designated as the Capital Area Economic Development District of Oklahoma for the U.S. Economic Development Administration. ACOG's mission is to ensure competitiveness at the national level by leading the local, regionally driven economic development planning process that leverages the involvement of the public, private, and non-profit sectors and establishes a strategic blueprint for regional collaboration. In particular, ACOG's region is comprised of 4 counties: Oklahoma, Cleveland, Canadian, and Logan. As a council of governments, ACOG doesn't possess the power of legislation, enforcement, or taxation, but it functions to complement and supplement activities at the local government level. ACOG has been administering REAP grants for 25 years. The most attractive characteristic of REAP grants is the fact that they do not require matching funds. REAP was created through legislation in 1996 to improve life in rural Oklahoma. REAP grants assist small communities with populations under 7,000 who have little or no funding capabilities. A REAP grant can award a maximum of $100,000. REAP funds carry different weight depending on the type of project you apply with. 80% of REAP funds are allocated for projects in the following 6 categories: rural water quality projects, rural solid waste, rural sanitary sewer, rural road or street, rural fire and public safety protection services, and expenditures designated to increase the employment level within the jurisdiction of the entity. To offer you an example, you may apply with a project in Category 6 to create a small business accelerator in your community. Twenty 20% of REAP funds are allocated for projects in the following 4 categories: healthcare services, telecommunications, municipal energy distribution, and public facilities. For instance, a project befitting Category 7 would be the purchasing of life-saving equipment for your local fire department. Please be aware that some projects are ineligible for REAP grants. Such projects are consumable goods and office supplies purchases, personnel costs, park projects, fairground projects, mower and lawn equipment, veterans memorials, codification of ordinances, capital improvement plans or CIPs, comprehensive land use plans, housing projects or programs, and county maintenance bonds. If you're interested in pursuing a CIP or any Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, please don't hesitate to call Matt Weaver to discuss this. His phone number is 405-234-2264. We wanted to share with you a list of awarded REAP projects from last year to offer you a sense of what types of projects can be successful. Most projects requested or were awarded around $55,000, which allowed us to award more grants for a total of about $400,000. We also wanted to offer you a visual representation of how REAP funds have been historically allocated. From this image, one can observe that the largest amount of money has gone to serve road repairs and water and sewer issues. Remember that the Department of Commerce allocates 80% of REAP funds for projects that fit in the aforementioned 6 categories. We also wanted to share with you a timeline that describes the lifespan of a REAP grant. Applications are available online beginning with July 1st. We at ACOG can help answer any questions about application between July 1st and September 29. Applications must be in the ACOG office by September 30th at 4 p.m. This is a deadline I will emphasize again. Applications will then be reviewed by the REAP Review Committee in October. The Board of Directors at ACOG will review and approve the applications in November. In December, notices of award letters will be then sent to accepted applicants. In January and February, applicants will turn in letters of acceptance for the REAP awards, and in June and July, contracts will go out between the awarded entities and ACOG. Let us take a quick look at the REAP application proper. We'd like to show you what a REAP application actually looks like and to emphasize a few important steps in the application. We'd like to remind you that this is a competitive selection and we would like you to be prepared. Please again observe the deadline of September 30th at 4 p.m. All applications submitted must be postmarked before the deadline. All applications must also be typed and not handwritten. Please ensure that the applicant is a qualified government entity. Ensure that you also include the contact information for the person filling out the application, as they will be the point of contact between ACOG and your entity. Please also make sure that you stipulate your population number and that you also write in your local sales tax rate, and we offer here a method of calculating that should you need it. Later on in this presentation, I will also point you to a table that allows you to identify the correct population numbers. Your application should include a detailed description of your project, including the location and the nature of the project. It is important that you build a short narrative around this. With any grant application, this is the step during which you must convince your audience of how deserving your project is. Build a story around your project description that engages and persuades your reader. Offer details, examples, numbers, or quantifiers. Please attach photographs of the proposed targeted area and label them as 2F. 2 stands for the section in the application and F for the subsection where they relate to. Also, please explain your project management steps, demonstrating that you have a good grasp on task assignment, scheduling, reporting, and others will ensure the reader that you are prepared to carry through with your project. We urge you to attempt to answer also the following points. In what ways does your project have the ability to create jobs? For example, a better equipped police station ensures order and safety in an area where both businesses and patrons would want to operate. Again, describe what critical need will be met by the completion of the project. Describe the economic impact on your community. Consider again the long-term implications of your project. A better sewage system would attract local businesses. With more operating local retailers, for instance, local sales tax revenue would increase, allowing your government to provide more small business resources. Finally, does the applicant have a capital improvement plan? Do you have any signed multi-jurisdictional cooperative agreements of any type? Please also explain and describe the history of any economic or community development projects commenced or completed. This step will help strengthen your ethos, your credibility in terms of delivering the project outcomes. Describe also your local efforts in this project. Reach out to potential collaborators, entities, nonprofits, legislators, educators, EDDs, and so on. They can help indicate that they support your project. Please tell us if any income survey was conducted. Also, please print the name of the authorized elected official on your application. Make sure that you obtain it in advance of time. Your application must also contain a signed resolution. Please make sure that you have this resolution signed ahead of the deadline. Sometimes committees meet perhaps around the same time as the end of the month when the REAP grant would be due. Again, the deadline is September 30th at 4 p.m. So if that is the case, make sure that you have your committee sign the resolution a month in advance. The last page in the application proper, page 7, asks you to acknowledge and understand 2 points. First, to acknowledge that you have completed all the application forms and you have attached the information required. The second point is that you understand that you may apply for a REAP grant even if you belong to an undesignated area. However, you need a nearby qualified government entity to apply for you. An example would be a rural fire district in need of equipment, having the county apply for a grant for them. They cannot apply on their own because they are not a governed body with officials, but they can get the assistance of their closest governing body. Once again, we want to underscore that unsigned applications will not be considered. Please remember to type your application, to obtain all the necessary signatures, and also to postmark your mail before the deadline, which is September 30th, 2021 at 4 p.m. The timeline of a REAP grant that I referred to earlier is also included in your application packet. Let us briefly go over rating and scoring criteria for REAP grants. We will be awarding points based on fiscal capacity and local effort, on the cost effectiveness of your project and its impact on health and safety and economic development. And finally, we will consider the degree to which the project meets legislative intent and also the applicant's readiness to proceed. Just like we did with the application proper, we also wanted to share with you our scoring rubric. Each project will be considered according to a percentage of points given for population, cost benefit, local effort, impact, the multi-jurisdictional cooperative agreements that we asked you to speak about, the project readiness and timeline, the fact that you watched this online tutorial, and also the fact that you are or are not a current board member with ACOG. We highly encourage you to become a board member with ACOG if you are not. Pertaining to the previous slide, this is the breakdown of points you can receive for the population in the area you serve. As you can see, the smaller the community, the more points awarded for REAP. And remember that REAP aims to serve areas with population of under 7,000 individuals. And so the idea is to help those areas who have the minimum necessary or no resources to complete projects like these on their own. Earlier in the presentation, I mentioned that REAP funds are allocated by the Department of Commerce differently. The application package explains this by making reference to the statutory categories. The following include types of projects or categories that are funded by a REAP grant, but I urge you to consider what kinds of projects you apply to understand what your chances of being funded are. ACOG is required to allocate at least 80% of the total project funding to statutory categories 1 through 6, rural water quality projects, rural solid waste disposal, treatment, or similar projects, rural sanitary sewer construction or improvement projects, rural road or street construction or improvement, provision of rural fire protection services and public safety services, and expenditures designed to increase the employment level. 20% of the REAP funds may, however, be allocated to projects that fall under the 4 categories: provisions of healthcare services, construction or improvement of telecommunication facilities or systems, improvement of municipal energy distribution systems, and community buildings, courthouses, town halls, and so on. The next page in the application packet also lists the ineligible types of projects that REAP grants will not fund, so be aware of that. We also want to emphasize compliance with the law and eligibility. Again, REAP statutes allows projects to be performed only by counties, municipalities, or councils of government. If you are a fire district, a community association, a senior center, a public trust, or any other entity, you need one of the approved entities, counties, municipalities, or councils of government, to apply on your behalf. REAP rating also looks at your explanation of local needs, support, and priority. We take into account economic feasibility and project feasibility when we award a project points. We encourage applicants to request the smallest amount necessary according to an accurate budget in order to accomplish the project. The more REAP grants we can award, the more communities we can serve. As mentioned earlier, you receive points based on your population number. The application packet offers you a table drawn from the 2016 census that allows you to identify your population accurately and to write that in your application. Because REAP grants focus on rurality, priority will be given to applicants with a population of under 1,500. We also give priority and points to applications who have the approval of their governmental entity submitting the project. So make sure that you have all the signatures in place. Also, please know that you may submit a maximum of 4 applications per grant cycle. However, only one of these four can and will be funded if found competitive. The application packet also highlights that no planning or promotional activities can be funded through a REAP grant. However, project-related engineering expenses can be considered as eligible expenses. No grant writing or administration fees will also be funded. Please also remark that ACOG REAP staff has the authority to grant minor scope changes to funded projects, without prior approval by the ACOG Board of Directors. Please remember that we offer ranking criteria for population of up to 30 points, for cost benefit of up to 20 points, for local effort for up to 15 points, for multi-jurisdictional or cooperative agreements for up to 6 points, for a description of impact for up to 25 points, for project readiness and timeline for up to 10 points, for having watched this online tutorial, 10 points, and for being an ACOG member, 15 points. We encourage you to become an ACOG member if you are not. Also remember that we offer 5 points for projects that fall into the 1 to 6 categories funded by 80% of REAP monies. These criteria shall not be deemed exclusive, and each project will be reviewed and considered on its own individual merits. Thank you so much, and we look forward to receiving and reading every application. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us or to contact Matthew Weaver, the Manager of Community and Economic Development at ACOG, at phone number 405-234-2264 or by email at mweaver@acogok.org. And thank you so much for watching this.